Sanje Juno, Zoye Junum, Janjumba, Ninja Soja, Daki, Chinzo, Yeve Tunam, Jolo Benji, Sanje, Jubur, Sanje Junum, Zoye Junum, Janju, Ninja Soja, Daki, Chinzo, Yeve Tunam, Jolo Benji, Sanje, Jubur, Sanje Chudum, Zoye Junum, Janju, Ninja Soja. Da ye jinzu yebe zo nam ye ndola benje sanje zhu sho. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain the enlightenment. Through merit of practicing generosity and so on, may I attain Buddhahood for all the sentient beings. Okay, 7. So that the next time Sholoba Sumbegan level, we are on the third stanza, right? Okay. That the next time Lelu go the Dinaro Casan, you did not chick hard you, Beijing.
Abadi.
Yeah. I think understood what that trouble means to said shop. That did to the church to have a see tiered way or tier deriva dinner rolla and trouble means between Dini. 가르에서나 개와 중세 점기 초보를 믿는 바라서 아니 공맥이 개발 최배치도 되고 스타디 뭐냐 전내가 좀 그렇죠. 말하는 주다디 예 개발망보 아니 지게 또 변나 차셔나 까담벨라만 주소 멘사스미야티 내가 치슈디 멘사스 그러봤다 이거 캥뱅 알게를 막 카데자에 메사셈스 그러봐 가지고 메사셈이 얘기는 같이 되어도 와 더디 가르전스나 가두윤의 수수들이야 초시 맞지 말한 또 시험받이 시부지인 삼대위나 고마 최고 말봐 재산과 고마디 철고이나 연된 고마디 이 연된 들라파데 최고고이나 소소를 이어받이 디 등금해 봐 딜레는베 고구여바디 하거나 아니 캥바들 얘기도 봐. 대인도 좀 메사스미나 아니 이게 탐지 연구에도 좀 나가서 로종 측에만 나로래야 아니 메사스미 중국이 봐.
됐어.
신노블에 저저선 다저 강도 소답니다. 강한다 수단 조배세 니버디 쇼로가 니버디나로 강한다 조배세 등이 끌리면다지 현라 선바타고에 초도 저 산제단 토사대 가시 이게 심전을 이내야 심전을 때는 연대 nen토요 봐 전주什么죠 어때 인도 전배니 랑기 메시스임바이나 텔레테네 렉시 망고 용도 전배 메시스임부터 봐 대, 다디랑로야 준주디 초고를 민지 준주니 개와 중세 단지 초고 민진벌 공맥이 개발 아니 최배 처럼 배고 스타팅하는 중 전에 지금 연대 전주 센터야 도와도스 카오다 안을 하바도 연대지기 공마 열게 저거고요나 다딩 아바디야 왜냐면 나 찍어도 봐 어디셔 디지털나다
One of one from last time when we were going through Thupten Chögyam Drapa's commentary, talking about the different kinds of virtuous effort, joyous effort, sorry, and one of them was left over from last time. We'd covered the first four, which are put in the group, and the fifth one, which is the joyous effort, which is never satisfied or is never complacent, is described in Thubten Chögyam Drapa's commentary as joyous effort, that is the effort that is never satisfied with performing small virtuous deeds, or small virtuous deeds, but strives to reach for greater improvement, or for higher qualities or greater virtues, seeks to perform greater virtue. So this is the fifth one that was mentioned in Thubten Chögyam Drapa's commentary, and this is a real sort of real situation, a real point for us, a real something that we encounter a lot. The great scholars, and particularly the Kadam masters, give advice about taking the lower seat, being the lowest amongst all. And the problem for us is that if we think we're doing well, or we think we're doing okay, or we think we're doing well, then a sense of kind of puffed upness or kind of bloatedness about our own qualities can arise, and then we won't seek to improve improve and develop our qualities, and even though it may be the case that there are much more expansive and much more profound qualities than we have, but if we get content with what we have, then what we've done or how we are, then we won't seek those higher qualities. And in the 8 verses of mind training, where it talks about in the second verse of the 8 verses of mind training, where it mentions, I'll just get the exact translation, but it talks in the second verse about when you're in the company, whoever you're in the company of, regarding yourself as the lowest amongst all, or taking the lower seat, and from the depths of my heart cherish others as supreme. So this first 2 lines, whenever you're in whatever company you're in, of taking regarding yourself as the lowest amongst them, is extremely sort of important in helping us to develop this sense of where we're not content. We don't rest contented we don't rest on our laurels doing what we've done. And so this is
전주기 스타치기 셈기냠len 체케이네레 돈이 토레이네레 다 간제기 토 롭종 연된 간제지기 쳇도야 배주치기요나 아니 또 심버디 초셰 마덴버 아니 대레 타바야 신야라 아니 바르도 지카속으로 수수 강심버디 당기메버디 하고 해야지 내가 좀 몰라 제가 어디 계신 분이셨어.
Oh yeah, so whatever practices when we're engaged in doing practices of the path, whether it's and meditation on bodhicitta, or understanding of emptiness, cultivation of bodhicitta, understanding of emptiness, whatever practices and qualities we're trying to develop on the path, then there should be this sense of sort of awareness, not being content with what we've developed so far, but this awareness of sort of where we are, where we stand, and that there are many more things to, there's much a deeper level to understand, or a kind of stronger level to cultivate. And so so that we don't rest contented on having attained, having done some practice and attained a little bit of understanding, or a little bit of understanding, but not to rest contented with that, but to continue to to see that there's much further to go, and to not rest contented.
라소 다디 그상 이왕아디 아니 남자 균도 수수수기 저게 준주디 수수를 가르던 거면도 로정 제베갑라 겐조르 제베갑라 다디 수수수기 엔티도트 백신 때문에 들어도 봐 그도 가리다고도 수수수다 뒤면은 뛰고 뒤차로 뛰고 이녀반도 하고 이렇게 좀 보셔 직접 나 때는 알아도 자 딘다 쇼가 숨바디 뇽레 데베로 냥당 이르템비 세바이 코비 둥에 미줄레 lelo nyewa kebara gyurus chita lelu gyudu munjin chigduwa. Okay. Third stanza, please.
Because of attachment to the pleasurable taste of idleness, because of craving for sleep, and because of having no disillusion with the misery of cyclic existence, laziness grows very strong.
다 nyomle dewe ronyang tang se di dirisha lelo maji be ngel ya ani ranchu bita semdi kantage yungu yore se di jidang ge munjin di che nyomle dewe ronyang tang di gyuchi di che tani kebardo 아니 다 가르는 거였으나 아니 니를 때문에 세바 예스 아니 고외동이 미교래 레로냐고 저스 다디 인도점배 디르 삼보당당 다 당부들 차샤베는 념례 대회로 냥당 세디 되게 념례 세디 가르는 문제 치그레스 답변하지 나로리아 계속 탐제 챔베 가르송 것도 주비나 아니 개월의 민주배 즉 배세우도가 개월 민주 배 아니 념들라 대화를 손에 텔레신베 대외로냐 왔다고스 제상하다디 거지 개월 파 주버 민주 제버 고치게 주버 마치 그래서 그랬다 주머주긴 그러다 디당 아니 되게 두시는 거 어디 디시너리 나로 념레스 디시들이냐 닝지문지 카도스나 단지 삼면다 티어리아 뒤바 남에도 제바세지도 다디 야고 실수도 념레스야디 제장가 란주 아니 남주 저기 최연 장비값이야 아니 개침부래 세야디 저기 임버래 삼대 대비체 되는 디 슈르야 딜리야 가르쳐 오는 거 주면 쓰네. 다고 맞잡지. 개 친구 임바들 다고 잡두고요 말봐. 다고 맞잡도 좀 아니 가도 있는 딜 남에 쇼도야지. 딜 남에 쇼바다 아니 디기 가르치고 그랬으라면나. 아니 랑싱기 되게 념레딜레 원도 념레딜 다디 남에 시야디. 념레딜레 원도 좀베 아니 지기 디베체 레레라 파 주도야. 아니 단다 디나로려야 니디 조르 송샤 니디 조르 송샤 레로고 교데라 제상가 다니 조 송고에 좀 전에 가르쳤으라면은 당이 얘기 데려다 티오리 마소나 딜 송고에 가르쳤는 먼저 신 먼저기 디 가르쳐래 이게 지기 수수기 셈 템포를 데베 깔리나 람상 파지 제 투비에 매배 손럽시 다 가리 연구를 해도 정신이 니들레 연구도 봐 배나 고문답지 자원도 잠배 칸전답지 시원도 니들레도 봐 가정에서는 계획이 로 승수야 되마토도 인자 아니 정신이 니들레 연구요 봐 다 니들레 연구도 잠배 최장을 계속 준비 쉬어라 답배 가서 우리 냠냠 봐 답배 지금 미수수 폐지에 다 냠냠 지표딩 안 줘야 딱도 말 지금 어제 나오는 점에 나 슈마 단다 쇠버기 슈고라야 쇠버 때문에 담냐라 아니 그래서 그래 단다 디디로 봐 가서 그래 가리리 그래 다 뒤로 두번 슈고를 듬바 단다 something 가져보다 단다디 가져오지
Geba something geba
말 준주 해로지 뭐 말대 준주 값으로 재산가 준주디 뷰타고 용야게 채도 치수 마음발에 준주디 야고 차원도 잠배 랑싱 something 야고 쓰고 여러봐 something 들어봐 대체상 something 디다 준주 버로들 냐바도니 아주기 곰데 템포 용야 채도 아니 니디마 용을 땅은 마도 지기 아주 곰 개베까라 니디 같이 치실리고요 그래봐 대인도 잠배다 니디 초 다른 게 디나로리아 계속 집에 쉬어라기 니디 조 진을 야 송고야 그는가티 제장가 뇽레 대베기 로냥당스 지르된 받치 제자도 다른데 가르치기 위해서도 인이디 아니 아니 과자 치슈지레스 렐로 제발라 어디는가데 두스토면 로스 아니 이 디데 뇽레 대베 로냥바다 아니 니 레템베기 착바데 아디게 아니 가르치기레스도 아니 디게 코위 동일레 좀 이제 차로르스 니미디
맞아요.
코위 동일레 아니 좀 이제 차로르다 어제 드미면 삼산들에 미줄레스 아니 냐버도 렐로지기스 다 주디 냐버 제버 줄스도 년제레스 냐월레 비드 오디 다디 진도 도스면 러스던 거요 띵년 지도나다
Rimshi,
kiran sonda nyela
the nanzu the changi gewala matupi nyomle se the gigi katu digi kasa gilsadama rinching didra shiki lawyer de didra tamba the lawyer de gilsa jail the data okay
okay teni tia jikdo son doshua tani de jikdurwa okay sonda tia namje marta nyomle sedi nyomle sedi dirishas azore 질 땜바디 지단에 아니 개월 민주벌 쳬베 로 개월 민주벌 쳬바들라 nyomle dos dishi 지디체 general 세드와 general 디체 단 이거디 가르쳐주는 아는 학벌도 제자 아니 가르 주시져우스나 아니 니딜레스 때문에 세바스 니 코란 말 니를 때문에 세바드레스 니디 말레스 니도 계신 물어봐 니 때문에 세바드레스 어디 디레셔 비진 디르베 오케이
So first of all, before covering this third verse, we've gone over the 5 forms of joyous effort, and in a sort of our normal sort of daily lives, we need to, it's good to identify what is it that which these are important, and which ones of these are we doing and not doing, and whatever studies or sort of recitations practice we're doing, then these are the antidote or the vaccine to help us to proceed in our practice, to develop our practice. And so we need to know them very clearly, and also to understand which ones we are implementing, not implementing, and implement them. And so in the third verse, where it talks of attachment to in Stephen Batchelor's translation, attachment to the pleasurable taste of idleness is called nyomle in Tibetan, nyomle gidewa. And in relation to this, this is discussing the causes of the process through which laziness arises. And in the first line, what it's talking about is this is sort of examining, before laziness actually arises itself, how does it come about? How is it that it comes about? And the great Bodhisattva Shantideva is giving us in what he's doing is sort of breaking it up a little bit. In the first line of the verse, he gives us a general understanding, a general perspective on the cause, or the way in which this idleness, which is this kind of pleasurable taste of idleness arises. So he talks about the attachment to the pleasurable taste of idleness, and then in the second line, he singles out one very particular thing, which is sleep, another very specific cause. Now, in the commentary by Gyaltsab Dharma Rinchen on this verse, Gyaltsab Dharma Rinchen explains, I'll read it. It says, should it be asked what the causes of laziness are, then should it be asked what the causes of laziness are? If one views lazing around without engaging in virtue to be happiness, one develops a taste for this happiness and grasps at it. So this is the first bit. This is the specific cause, which is talking about what's called nyomle in Tibetan, sort of idleness, which is also translated as an idleness, which we shrink away from doing virtuous things because maybe we're discouraged, but then we become idle about them. But there's also in Kuntan Demi Drumme, there's a quote which I think is Kuntan Demi Drumme gives a sort of there's an explanation of what this kind of idle laziness is, and it says for whatever sort of activities we intend to perform, or work or activities we tend to perform, then they don't get achieved, or they don't get done because we sort of ignore them, or we kind of put them aside or neglect them. So I think that this is a very to have this, in Tibetan it's called nangme dishapa. So it sort of like has this sense of just kind of almost sort of ignoring them, or putting them to one side, or treating them sort of without taking care or notice of them, or neglecting them. And so this is an important sort of addition to what has been said in Gyaltsab Dharma Rinpoche's text. I think that sense of how we neglect, we sort of neglect the importance of engaging in virtue. And so when we're training in the Dharma, we have to take, not neglect, but take these things as very important. And we often hear, oh, these are the important points that you have to listen, and these are the important points, and we sort of go, yes, I understand those are the important points. But often what we don't do is really take hold of them. And so this not taking hold of the important points and not really sincerely engaging them with it is what we're talking about here, with this kind of neglect, or ignoring or neglect or of things. So then this naturally from this kind of naturally then this kind of idleness leads us this kind of idleness leads us into laziness, the opposite of joyous effort. And then so that's a very generalized way of how laziness arises. And then Gyaltsab Dharma Rinpoche goes on to talk about how Shantideva talks about how specifically sleep is the attachment to sleep is one of the things that is causes us to, so he says that thus and craving based on sleep generate laziness. So then he singles out this sort of sleep. And why do we talk about sleep here? And I have a theory about this, why it's specifically mentioned here. Because when we're trying to, sort of meditate or do our commitments or recitations or this kind of thing, if the mind is stable, then obstacles cannot penetrate or influence our practice. But often for us, when we're doing meditation, commitments, recitations, this kind of thing, it's very easy for us for kind of sleepy states to overcome us, and therefore it's hard for us to remain over a period of time engaged in virtue. And Shantideva is the kind of consummate practitioner of these bodhisattva practices that he talks about in this text. It sort of talks about the sort of how to complete, how to sort of have a very complete practice of joyous effort, and also which will come in the next chapter. This is the 7th chapter and the 8th chapter, where it talks about meditative concentration. And there, the sense of joyous effort and then the concentration are required for us to have strong and stable practice, which then very naturally will reduce sleep and the sleepiness and the attachment to sleepiness. So then, in the meditation time, one of the great obstacles is sleepiness, and therefore I think that's why it's mentioned here. And then what happens is that then these two attachments to attachments to idleness and attachments to sleep, then, as Gyaltsab Je says, based on these two, it causes us to be unafraid of cyclic existence and not tire of its sufferings. Thus, in turn, one develops an affinity for laziness. That's how Gyaltsab Je says. So it causes us, it incurs the fault of not having regret or disgust for the samsaric world, and so then it's so it actually says so therefore strive in abandoning laziness, having identified its causes. So then the cause of these are the causes of laziness, and if we continue to entertain these, then laziness will definitely it's the substantial result of allowing these attachments to arise will be the substantial result of laziness.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Something you live down to
rimshi chiksong dila.
Something you live kapso so gom gyatang da sem tempo sotan sung gu yore. Chizanga di nge le ya ko anjogi le shang do songji so any ni di nyungro tangbi na shuma something kapso lo ya ko juk dewa yorba. Chizanga ko ni gi 니 가서 그래 니미도 숨고가 니를 때문에 착바되기 님이.
So attachment to here, attachment to sleep is particularly singled out as a something quite pernicious in our practice, because later on when we talk in the concentration, the purpose of the concentration, the concentration section, or the parameter of concentration, is to develop a very strong and stable mind, which can practice over a long time. But if we're falling into if we come under the sway, under the power of these causes of laziness, then that will be very difficult to arise. So there's this kind of so that's why Shantideva singles out particularly sleep and the idleness as here as being general and specific causes of laziness.
Okay. 어디 보자. 다때네 시바디다. 녀몬 제베 쇼나니 디르베. 와, 시바데. 녀몬 제베 쇼나니 제바 자네 춘 둘네. 치다 칸을 손주고 지디 탄동 미시섬 fourth stanza please. Unmute.
Enmeshed in the snare of disturbing conceptions, I have entered the snare of birth. Why am I still not aware that I live in the mouth of the Lord of Death?
다디 다카라서 그래 고 디리샤 미다 팅규스 그러봐 아주 남사전도 배자고는 로가요래 저장하다 디 미다 팅규 조데다 치워디 삼로야 오지 마크나 안라는주에 최최long 요레스 안 투주여 삼로 팅아 저 휴면 내적 그런도가 다 드린 내가 마찬가지 선이 시기인스 선이 맞은 단도 투주도스 다 logic do tando los shingaji degi samda samlo degi angazo rang shingi kasore lalo jebi gyuji chawandu tele ya da nyambo yona menadi ani chiwo komyati chiwo medabase le de to gewe kulma tangni dire ba ko 이 뉴점에다 재산가 치워디기가 아주 가르정부도 쓰르선배 말한주기 최최 망부지 고가 맵서도 그랬어. 다디 간데 소스나 단다디 나로야 뇽몬 개외 쇼나니 개와 견내 추나니 치다 카르는 손들 봐. 쓰르선배 땅 아주 치월리그 말에 삼지 대체 아니 뇽몬기 상황 당치 맞아 뇽몽이 상황을 당원도 때문에 뒷배들 뒤고도 배들 뒤단데 닝지무도와 뇽몽 개베 쇼르스도 때문에 뇽몽다 아니 리다 점년이디 리다 지고 봐 아주 100 어디니 빌자도와 개베 쇼는 개와 다 아주마 손에 고 룩서 가발로 jas으나 아니 개와자스도 개와 망부 계절 또 개와 망부려야 아니 레다 뇽몽이기 파 domjabche ani kalsore dinaroloya ajumaso net naroloya lukshabe sunrochi odi yumonjebe chonan gewa jandu chun chida khane songjoba sidu jambeta ajumaso na tamadi ajumaso neta laga ajumaso ne nyomongi shawala tangche lesa khawali ligdu sina chida khalligdu usore 데르도 아란주다 아니 뇽모 냐냐 제 디고냐냐 제나 아니 가리어레스라나 한 타마디 치외 갈래야 베스 치외 갈래야 베스 치다 칸에 송교바 엔지디 단동 미셰 삼 세두잠베 다 딘디지기 아니 두주지기 레레 상황도 땅베이나 뇽모 상황 땅베이나 마옴발이야 라메베 아니 치외 칼마 두스신 루주 유바디 그런 게 하고 고민도 왜 진짜 다디 배 모송기 답에 넘비게죠. 다 단동이야 하 먹거나 아니 원래 빼잡지 다 빼기 아니 시인 진짜 아니 쇼로가 나와도 되기도 봐. 어디 지냐 교나다.
So when we sort of look at this verse 4, then it's sort of you know, we often talk about how we have to remember impermanence, and one of the main features of remembering impermanence is to remember death. But the problem for us is that we're always, when we're in, you know, even in our Dharma lives, we have this sense that there's always that we have time, you know, that there's always time, that there's always going to be another opportunity. We don't, you know, we're always thinking, oh well, if I don't get it done today, I'll get it done tomorrow. And we always, you know, there's always this sense about us that we have there's still plenty of time for us, that we have a year or we have 4 or 5 years, and this way of thinking acts as a great cause for us to become lazy, and cultivating the understanding of cultivating understanding around death, and it then starts to reveal to us that actually there are not what it should show us is that there actually aren't many opportunities. There aren't much time or much opportunity to practice the Dharma. And so in the you know, here what it's using a sort of using an analogy which is further developed in the 5th verse, but it sort of uses you know, we tend to have that sense that just death will not come to us, and under the sway of the and this comes under the sway of the mental affliction. So as it says in the first line, enmeshed in the snare of disturbing conceptions. So and the example being used here is a sort of a hunter, or in fact a trapper, who it says how, you know, we are in the snare of disturbing connections, we have entered the kind of trap. We're stuck in this net or this trap of birth. And then in the third line, it's and it says, actually it's the third line in Tibetan, but the fourth line in English, where it says, so we're unaware that we live in the mouth of the Lord, under the sway of we live in the mouth of the Lord of Death, and under the sway of the mental afflictions. Where are we going to end up? What's going to happen? We're going to end up under the sway of the mental afflictions in the mouth of the Lord of Death. And so all of the negative actions and stuff that we these kind of negative actions and under the sway of mental afflictions that we do, cause us to end up in eventually in the mouth of the Lord of Death. And so this is given. So that's how. So it's the mental afflictions, the laziness, and then causing us to perform, you know, to put things off and to perform many negative actions, cause us to end up in the mouth of the Lord of the Death. But we don't understand this. We don't get it. It's not easy for us to see this manifestly. So what then Shantideva does in the next verse is to give us an analogy for in order to help us understand that situation.
So I'm sorry, I've done a question by through the chat. I'm not so practiced with English, so I just need to know how to resolve, I don't know, situation when you want to do something for the other, okay, but you don't find the other, so you find like a wall, and then what can you do? Do you want to help other, but you can't, because the other put you a wall. So in this case, what can I do? What I'm sorry for my English. I try to explain, but what can I do?
Okay. I think I got your question.
Sikpa the job sabin and as a Robert the Mishembala Robert Che the Yubayang. Mishemba the Nanzaki Robert Che the Pushi Gogmare Sikpa da Shigzo and in Nanza Robert Che to come and Kariche.
So now you have to break the wall. Just kidding. It's difficult to break the wall. This wall is a very thick wall. So actually what you have to do, I think, is patience is needed here. That patience is, I'm not talking to reduce your hatred towards that. That is I'm not talking here, because we already finished 6th chapter. So what I meant is the patience to, there will be a day that I can help that person. Don't feel you're hopeless. Don't feel this wall will be forever there. There will be a day that wall can be such a strong thing between us, but then there will be one day that he or she will need my help for sure. At that time, I will be the one who will go first and help that person. So wait for your call. Even that's why we're saying, even the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, they are willing to help us, but they cannot help us in some kind of situation if the karma is not ripened yet. So we have to wait for the right call, right timing. For that, you need to be patient. And sometimes your help, you need to be very skillful. even you can help in the situation, but if somebody is not asking for your help, then you have to back up for the goodness to not to make the relation worse. You cannot just say, my motivation is so good, I wanted to help. That doesn't work. So you have to wait for the right moment. So at the time, you have to jump in the fire if you need to, if your compassion is pure. So that time, other person, whether appreciate or not, that is the time that you have to know. So wait for the right timing. That's what I wanted to say. I hope the answer is clear, but maybe we can discuss in the some other time too.
So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hola, so. That then on the window. You won't give you this. That bed my son do some be. Around the rim, you serve in Kuju Tongue with your thumb. When you need Tembakan, Tavayan my Asian, said. Fifth stanza, please.
Do I not see that he is systematically slaughtering my species? Whoever remains soundly asleep surely behaves like a buffalo with a butcher.
Oh, like the buffalo with the butcher. Did what?
Yeah.
See what is struggling. That the species lemon did you know? Kanji Tiresha. Susu Dunlia. Me Gamba in it, Shamba in it. Unechena, Konyan Sigris, Ko Gambares, Ko Shambare, Ko Shul Sigris, Laguio de Inayan Cabamen of us. Rava Susu Pugu Rodi, Susu Pavegi, any Baba Tonya was, Tatanda di Medachinguna, the Ligua. There's a dinashin, Rande Rimji Serbayang, Sidjembe, any Rimbadi Tata Digi Mazan, Rande Rimji, Serdanji Tungu Setrisha, Rande Rimji Serbayang, any Kudi Tom Jurdam, Di Kirang Thomas on Siduta, Susulia, Gobatang Yorba. Kirang Tongu Mindu said, Kirans du Mishambala Gejama, Kirans du Tamida Chingu Chingen di Soso Chapter Lord Chiche, Laziness Union Chiche, that laziness made in a social search on that Soso Ya Gewala Gumatan de Zambe, and Kurgi said, Soso Zuzu Gejeri. Kurgi Tom Minjurdams. When young Nila Tambakan, Tavayan Maishin, still Zambe. That did the Kume some border. Anima Shahanjina Bruno, the Sessa, Strogless, Casa,
Slaughterhouse.
Bruno. Then Joy Gavlia, Carachon Sonsena, Emi, the end of Valia Chatitan, Radan, the Sangolo, Picket Tupiore, Picket of Chados and Zadiorte, Kashi Nampunition, Chigni, the Sijab de do. Kashi ko kala sache kala sha샤도 kala sache koron yang jige 가서래 낭면 잡지도 제가 다디 예전에 시월하기 때 낭면 되니디 비임바다 다 해당 아니 세컨이디 툴 데디도 고 세컨디 이내 도고 지게 나와면 되는 소리 데디기요 봐 많이 생년기 미디기 인도 데니 데디도 제가 대화양에 많이 신세디 뒤에야고도 배디야고도가 된대를 차디 하세지 다 치월레베 이내 치월 연구위원회 딜레 저리 마치 디도 전에 치월 연구위가 하였고 아니 저리 마치 디도 다 배디시브레스 가서래 구버르스다 렘버드스 이버디 미다 친구 식 단계니 전환이 그룹은 신체제 아니 단다 벌써 공단
sorry, content temperature.
야 공단 temperature 매기 아니 식디주도가 가서 가서 첼렘바 신도 루기장 랑리남 셴베 세동체 닝다네 셴베 랑덴도 저미 슈베데 출륜 세치 이 텐크란디나 두디 요르바 디파
Yeah.
디시드 디에 야야고 슈도 거전스나 란즈마 손에 출레 삼삼마도 고고지 대니에 추니 샤이바 심제니 샤이바 단다디 샤하나로야 심지어 카시 셴 데디니 직체 심지어 카시 나메 데디니 아주 내 나메 데디니 차디도 봐 다축이 데스 고 파종원의 시드 소수 시유바 학원에 셴 데니지도 와 어디다 아주 은혜시는 디체고요래 디 마체비체 아주 단다 심진이 요변하는 심진 셴나메 데니지 나메 데디니 차디요
Yeah.
어디 차디 단다 가르쇼레 준주 캠프 송야디 심진 고고들이 아주 단다 어디 람디면로 오케이
love to do. So and then and so here it's it then the fifth verse explains what was mentioned in the fourth verse through way of an example, and to in this case with a sort of slaughterer in the slaughterhouse and buffalo. And it talks one thing, the first thing to say is in the Tibetan it says rangde, which means it's sort of something like it says in the English, it says that do I not see that he is systematically slaughtering my species, which might fit in the analogy, but systematically has also, we have to think about what is actually, do I not see that he is systematically slaughtering my species? Rimshi the injikitola the dis drugamindus, because systematically gidi rimshindu segdua tamboni basumba shiba and rimshi gidi the gorim yomare nanso the gorim meba tongore stirva gorim meba tongore stirva
저봐 답변아 이슬람의 디도 시스템이틱 삼로당바이나 아니 gemba의 시고야 셴바의 시고야 아니 바바의 시고야 레스 직접 이 시스템 삼로당단 직리 소진 인거의 삼로 갈당 거스나 셴바이나 슈리 시고야 지든 gem바이는 년 시고야 차바야면도 봤어
aleo
어디에라
so you can think about it in a sort of systematically in the sense that normally we would imagine that for humans that the elder ones, the elder people will go first, will die first, then the sort of middle age, and then the young, in that sort of way. But of course, we actually know that that may be a sort of general description, but it doesn't. There's no guarantee or sort of pervasion to that at all. That it's quite possible for the younger ones to go before the other ones. So there's a sort of so in the analogy, it works in the sense that the buffalo are kind of lined up, heading towards the slaughterer, and so in that sense, it's kind of systematic. But you also got to think that it's not systematic in the sense that just because we're younger, for instance, that doesn't mean that we're not going to die before older people. So there's this sense of sequence and not sequence, if you have it both like that. And then it says, "Don't you see?" which is directed at us to say, don't you see this situation? Don't you understand what is going on? And don't you see what the real situation is? And then in the analogy, how it sort of talks about it in the third and fourth lines is to sort of say about whoever remains soundly asleep surely behaves like a buffalo with a butcher. Now, to make this analogy a little bit more alive, the example is being, of a slaughterhouse, a butcher working in a slaughterhouse. And I had experience myself of actually going to a slaughterhouse one time. And actually, it's not that there are different, whether it's, goats or chickens or sheep or whatever, the animals, not different animals, but within each, within each class of animals, they tend to have sort of different reactions. Some sort of just sort of huddling together with each other. Some are kind of shuffling around or pecking or looking to find some kind of food. And then there are some which, so they remain sort of very unaware and ignorant of what's going on, even though they're slowly getting very close to they meet their death with the butcher. But then some actually do are actually suddenly, kind of aware and afraid, whether others are completely sort of unaware and ignorant. And of course, they close in on, all of them are closing in on the butcher. So what we need to take away from this analogy is that, death is coming, and we don't know, there's actually no guarantee of the sort of sequence of death in terms of young and old. And we are, if you to be sort of ignorant or unaware of this process and this is how we are really. This is really our condition, and this is a stupid way to be. And there's another verse from Kundandemi Drumme, which I think also is very connected with this verse, which reads, "Even sheep among the most foolish of creatures are alarmed when seeing their fellows butchered. So failing to apply their example to ourselves, are we not more insensible than such beasts?" So this is really, we have become more stupid than the sheep, which are considered the foolish creatures. And so there are, actually, my experience was that not all of the animals were like terrified at coming to the chopping block, but there, so let's say there are two kinds: those who are, as in Kundandemi Drumme says, that there are those who are alarmed at seeing their fellow creatures butchered, but there are others who also seem to remain unaware and ignorant. So we have to be like we're more like the first ones at the moment. We're more like the ones who are unaware, but like in Shantideva's verse, where it's remaining soundly asleep. But we need to really sort of wake up and become like the second category in the example of those as mentioned in Kundandemi Drumme. I'll put the verse in the group, who are alarmed. So this is how we need to be, to understand that death is coming. Death is coming and death is close to us, and this is how we need to be, rather than asleep, soundly asleep in front of the butcher or in front of the Lord of Death.
So I think we will stop here today. And your homework is it's a funny one. Imagine this will really help if you are really wanted to take your practice to the next level, much more stronger Dharma practice. So take these two examples of the animal, and then find out which kind of a similarity is to you. So then, if you are not the animal, the buffalo here, what Shantideva is saying, then maybe you are to the next animal, who is by the example from Kundandemi Drumme. Then you are a little bit better. We are a little bit better. If not, we are here, then we have to be very careful. I always encourage people, the Dharma practitioners who are trying to meditate on death. So we are not meditating on death because we love death. Nobody loves death. Here, there are so many beautiful things, so many incredible things we can bring in our life. And we somehow neglect, right? Neglect or ignore. So not to get waste. So then we need to, before research a little bit, this importance, the treasure, you need to know that. And then to learn, to observe, to improve. Then the main obstacle is how much are you going to take to the next life? How much you're going to take? How much you want to improve in this life? So then the biggest obstacle is if the death comes in between, then you will lose this precious human life. So before that, if you are clever enough, think of the second example, and then feel like the worry, if before the death comes, I need to establish something.
Establish,
achieve something. So that's why the great Kadamba Lama is saying, if the person is not meditating on the impermanence of the death, then there is no way to start the Dharma practice at all. So that's the reason, actually. So please enjoy the meditation on the death. So this will be your homework for today, and then really connect to the practice here. Okay, so thank you very much, and dedication, please.
Sure, Rinpoche.
Okay. It is really difficult. So what do you suggest you? Because it's really a reality that the life offer a lot of things, but sometimes it is difficult to receive that and recognize that, and to do something for the other that came from the hearts and not from the mind. But your suggestion is really lightful. I don't know how to do in English, but thank you. So really, thank you.
Okay, so are you asking that how to help a person who is having a problem of facing a death?
Yes.
Rebecca, is this your question?
My question is that I know that the life is beautiful, but and helpful other people's is beautiful, but sometimes there is a situations in which you are that stop this, and it's difficult to so I'm sorry because my English
it's okay. So what we do is you can write to Tia.
To do other other I don't know this in the word now, but to I don't know. So I'm sorry, but it's difficult.
So what you can do is you can write your question to Tia, So Tia will pass it to me, and then in our next session, I will try to answer that. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, bye.
Chambala, dedication, please.
Yes.
Sure, Rinpoche. Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I've heard day and night through the four reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful, generous, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Sorry, okay. In all my life, never separated from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and grounds and paths, I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like a hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Rinpoche.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.